I am Jennifer Callender. I am based here in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm a certified franchise consultant. I work with my clients on um, engaging them with brands of interest, educating them around the franchise business ownership process, and level setting their expectations around the process. So, as you know, what I oftentimes hear from my clients is that they don't know what's all involved in franchising. They don't know what to expect. They don't know how much money it takes to get into franchise business ownership. So I help them with all of those aspects. I also introduce them to brands of interest that they may not have awareness of otherwise. So I get at that by learning about them, what their profitable targets are for getting into business ownership. I also want to understand those skill sets that they want to bring forward. Now, when I dissect franchises for my clients, I look at whether or not they fall into low investment ranges. That would typically be home based businesses, things that they can reach their target without a storefront or a build out. Sometimes they want something really, really passive that falls into low investment as well. They want to remain in corporate and they want to realize franchise business ownership or some business opportunity while they have corporate footprint as well. So it's not a requirement that you retire from corporate. You can have something going on behind the scenes, something like vending, something like an ATM, healthy vending, um, marketing solutions. There are some brands out there with some strong technology behind them. And I love those because, as you know, I took early retirement from corporate and 15 years with a healthcare company, mainly in the IT space. And I got into franchise brokerage by way of looking for a franchise. I was looking for a franchise and I was working with a franchise broker, much like many of my clients. And I found that that experience wasn't the best experience for me for whatever reason. And so I figured, excuse me, if I was having that type of experience, other people probably were having that experience as well. So I decided to go into franchise business ownership and pivot from franchise business ownership into franchise consulting, into the brokerage space. And no day is the same for me. I meet different clients. I have um, clients that come to me from many walks of life. I'm fortunate enough to meet them where they are and just have a real transparent conversation about some of the goals and support them in the next level of their journey. Um, and so I've been doing this for about 3 years now, and I totally, totally enjoy it. There's so many places that you can go within the franchise industry, and I talk about franchise business ownership, but let's talk about the franchise consulting space. Um, you're able to partner with franchise brands, build those relationships, understand the ins and outs of their operations in order to bring those brands forward to the clients. I really, really, really love that. I have clients that I work with that come to me um, that are some of them are millennials and they want to understand, how to um, get another option going for them rather than their normal path. My parents always told me about education, get your education, go to college, and then get a corporate job, right? And I think that some of the millennials are boldly um, looking at other options and understanding how they can be their own boss and pivot into franchise business ownership and understanding that, if they want to own a business, franchise business ownership will be that um, area where you can get into business ownership and have all the support there for you. It's just a nice way as an entry point into franchise business ownership. So I love that. I truly love that. The other thing that I would say is that I talk to clients that are have a heavy net worth, and they're looking for other options to um, diversify their portfolio, looking for other investments. And those tend to be investments or business opportunities or franchise business opportunities that I present to them that are on the higher end. Storefronts, massage parlors, fitness centers, just quick serve restaurants. And I have a number of clients that are comfortable with that level of investment. So as a franchise broker, you're able to, I call it, it's almost, for me, it's almost like a puzzle that I'm trying to solve. I'm trying to solve a puzzle for my clients where I'm making the right recommendation that meets them and can support them where they are. And I love that about a franchise business consultancy. I took the path of affiliating myself with Francer, which is one of the older brands, and it has over 500 franchise brands at its under its portfolio that I can leverage to speak with my clients about and also build those relationships with those franchise business owners. One other thing that affiliating yourself with a brokerage firm does for you is that it allows you to have the tools to be able to make those recommendations and make those recommendations with confidence, right? It also provides you with the education that you need to build out yourself as a certified franchise broker or a consultant. I transitioned into the space from a totally different career path. I was in IT, worked in management for corporation for a number of years. So I had no training or any background about how to be a a valued franchise consultant. I feel like affiliating myself with a brokerage firm gave me that footing. So it allowed me, excuse me, to build myself up as a well-respected franchise consultant. And I was able to do that. And I have been in this space working with clients primarily. I'm leaning in on clients that look much like myself, minority, underrepresented communities, women. And I just find that we don't know what we don't know, right? So I find that it's really been rewarding to bring this information, this wealth of knowledge, the wealth of the possibilities of franchise business ownership to the community where I'm a part of networks, I'm a part of organizations, and I just really love that about franchise business ownership. I think I see Gerry Gerry Fernandez, who is on the line now. He's joined us. And I want to go ahead. I know we're up against time schedule, and I don't want to take up too much of his time. So the person that we have for talking with us today is Mr. Gerry Fernandez. I will bring him to the stage, and he will be able to share his background, some of the awesome work that he's doing. And I'm just so elated to have met him. And without further ado, um,
Hey
welcome,
there.
Gerry.
Hey there. How are you?
Good. How are you? You've been busy.
Yeah, I have. I'm wearing my Penn State shirt today because we're doing some work with them on looking at the boards of directors of publicly held restaurant companies, and they're in town this weekend. So I just want to give them a little shout out. But
Oh, nice,
I'm,
nice way to support.
yeah, I'm happy to be here to talk about franchising, which we know
Yes.
in our community, particularly in African American communities, no business model has produced more millionaires, more successful people than franchising. And McDonald's is probably leads the way, and Back in the 60s, they made the conscious choice to recruit African Americans to be franchisees in their system. And that came from, frankly, the riots of the 60s. They learned that during the rioting, the only people who could go in the community were people who were from the community. And they said,
That's right.
well, we ain't going to do this again. We're not going to have this happen a second time. And to their credit, they went out and consciously looked at, professionals from all different walks of life and said, how'd you like to get into business? They did the same with suppliers, so that's they kind of really have blazed the trail in minority franchising. And of course, they extended it to having, groups that focus on the Asian franchisees, the Black franchisees, women franchisees, and Latino franchisees. And they're really the only company that's actually, done that. There was a time when, Burger King was in that same space. And of course, they've changed hands a couple times since then, but McDonald's is still consistently in that area.
Yeah.
And it's something that I don't think the Black community fully understands the opportunities of franchising. So that's why I'm glad to have a chance to talk with you and others to say, hey, you maybe don't know what franchising is about, but this is really a good way to get into business.
It truly is. It truly is. And so just to level set the audience on your background and where you are right now, are you primarily, I understand it as being, you're in the restaurant and hospitality area.
Yeah. So I'm a restaurant by training. I went right out of high school, the culinary school, learned how to cook, and then realized that I was better at managing than necessarily trying to become a chef. And so I did Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket, Long Island, the Waldorf Astoria in New York City, then back to Providence. I opened 2 restaurants here with a serial entrepreneur. And so I'm a restaurant guy. That's kind of what I am. And then in 92, I went to General Mills in Minnesota, of all places. I go from Rhode Island here, where we got a pretty small Black population.
I was there at that same time.
Yeah. I didn't realize that. Minnesota. And there's even a smaller Black population there.
That's right. That's right.
Because my family is from Cape Verde, so that's how I get Fernandez.
Okay.
I have African Portuguese roots. 3 of my grandparents were born in the islands and came here on a boat. My wife is African American from Savannah, Georgia. She grew up in an all Black neighborhood, all Black everything, right?
Yes.
And we met at college. But in 92, I went to General Mills, and that was a complete shift. From running restaurants to working in a food manufacturer, first in R&D, then in sales. And while I was in sales is when I saw this group called the Women's Foodservice Forum, which was promoting opportunities for women. And I said, if we have a need for an organization to promote women, we need something to promote people of color. So that's how MFHA got started. And we formed it to create an opportunity to develop people of color, Black, Hispanic, Asian, Native American, Asians, etc., Latino. And we focus also on minority business to try to help them, even though we weren't really focused on franchising. So we didn't get into the franchising part of things until after this George Floyd, the year of George Floyd. I mean, the COVID-19 and how that impacted Black and Hispanic and communities of color, including our Asian brothers and sisters. But then the George Floyd revealed to the rest of America what Black people already knew. That's right. That we were dying at the hands of a small percentage of rogue police, but nonetheless, rogue police officers dying without doing anything wrong, without having a gun or having a legal gun, whatever the case may be. And that woke up a lot of corporations. And so PepsiCo had been with us for a long time already, but they decided to do something specifically for Black businesses. And then they asked us, hey, could you do something to try to kick off a franchising initiative? So that's we're in the second year of this initiative, and we want to build an organization that is sustainable and successful. So a lot of people have tried things before, it really didn't turn. So we want to talk to all. I want to talk to Black franchisees. We want to talk to brands. We want to talk to what works and what doesn't work.
That's right.
And that's kind of what we did the first year. Kind of set up the infrastructure. And now we're out there aggressively trying to target different audiences to participate and come forward.
And that's great. I love what you all are doing. Tell us, what does MFHA stand for?
So MFHA's the Multicultural Food Service and Hospitality Alliance. We always felt like food service, which is restaurants and any place you get food away from home, hospitality, which is lodging. These two basically, even though they're different businesses, they work with the same people. We have the same black, brown, white, Asian, immigrant population in both types. And then we chose multicultural, so it wouldn't just be a black thing, just be a Latino thing, and that would not exclude our white brothers and sisters from being involved. So everybody's got culture. So multicultural, that's kind of how we chose the name. And we've always, been focused on the obvious. Now, I know that people want to try to turn the page on the attention being paid to Black America. You got 2 years I've been hearing about us Black folks. Well, guess what? It was 400 years of uncompensated labor that kind of got us where we are. Why Black people are so far behind everywhere else. And so, we can talk about all the other, underrepresented groups, LGBTQ, which we believe they have opportunity to level the playing field. But no groups have when you look at the data, Jennifer, nobody is more behind the curve than Blacks and Latinos. And so I don't care what business you talk about, in the restaurant business, hospitality business, there are fewer Black franchisees, fewer Hispanic franchisees. Our Asian brothers doing just fine right now when it comes to that. Certainly our Asian Indian brothers. So, we can talk about all this stuff, but until we move the needle with Black and Latino, we're really not addressing the issue. And so that's why this focus is on Black right now, and at the appropriate time, it'll be broadened to include Latino. But first, you got to tell people what franchising is. I managed to get all the way through culinary school, 2 more years of management, and I didn't know anything about franchising, right?
Isn't that amazing? I was the same way. College, I mean, I knew that I was going into a Burger King, but I didn't know the holistic, establishment or the structure of it.
Right.
And it's just amazing.
And how would we? They don't teach it in class. They didn't teach it in culinary school. They didn't teach it in hospitality. So we didn't learn it. And unless you have people who are in the business, you don't learn it. So if someone had told me when I was opening Hemingway's, which is a restaurant here in Rhode Island where I live, downtown Providence, beautiful seafood restaurant, opened in '85, it's doing beautiful. If someone had told me then, Gerry, you know what, you could become a franchisee, and showed me how to get into it, I'd have 100 restaurants by now. I would have had a whole intergenerational wealth transfer for my kids and my grandkids, but I didn't know about it. Now, that might sound a little lame to some people, but like a lot of things in business, I don't know about you. When did somebody have the compound interest conversation with you? Because my mother never had that. Okay, she never had that conversation with me. She had 6 kids after my dad died. I was 11. She had 6 kids to worry about. She didn't know about compound interest. She didn't know about investing in the stock market. She didn't know about any of these things. And so we learn it much later in life. And so what we're hoping with this Black franchising initiative is to educate people what it is, how franchising works, why it's a safer bet for getting into business, because it's an established entity. They got marketing, they've got systems in place that, you come in, and when you buy into a franchise, you pay your franchise fee. You're buying into all that experience, and you don't have to come up with a logo. You don't have to come up with the recipes for all the goods. It's all there. And then you have to learn how the system works. Then you have to learn how to optimize your business. So manage your people well so that they don't quit. You pay your people right so that they want to stay with you and move up. You have to learn all those things because there's only so much that the brain can teach you. The rest you have to kind of and work hard. You got to decide, hey, if you think you're going to be home on Saturday afternoon, sleeping at 1:00 in the afternoon, that's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen.
You're going to be in your business. And anybody who's been successful, Black, white, Asian, Latino, what have you, those people work hard and they're in their businesses. And because they've done that and they've mastered it, they learn what the formula is for success. You get to a point where, you can enjoy the fruits of your labor. You can take
That's right. And you can scale. You
Right.
get one and then you can scale. I've
Right.
heard someone say that one franchise is like a job, then
Yeah,
you scale
exactly.
from there. Yeah.
That's exactly
Yeah.
what I heard. The same thing when I first said. So when you buy a franchise, you got one, you got a job.
You
Okay,
got a
so
job.
you can't you don't have to fire yourself, but all you're doing is you're going. But when you move to 2 and 4 and 5, now you have an enterprise. You have a business that's sizable enough. It gets to scale that you now can afford to hire. I remember when we had just one restaurant and then we were trying to open another restaurant. It was so hard because you had to go between 2 restaurants and you do all your stuff and you're working and training. And you felt like you were working 24/7 until you got to the 3rd restaurant. Then
Yeah,
you could hire an assistant. It's like,
that's right.
it's the same with franchising.
That's
So,
right.
so
That's right.
we're going to go out there and talk to Black audiences and the Black community wherever we can reach them, whether it's through civic relationships, Greek organizations, women's groups, college and university, everywhere, churches, everywhere we find our folks, we're going to be out there
Yeah.
saying, here's a card to tell you about the franchising initiative. Here's how you get involved. Call us, and we'll be running educational sessions. We started. I think our first one is next Thursday. Next Thursday the 14th, and so we'll invite all the people who said, "Hey, we're interested in what you're doing."
Yeah.
We'll bring them in on a webinar, and we'll say, "Okay, here's MFHA's Pathways Initiative." We've got.
Now let's talk about your pathway because I was reading about that, and I know, that's going to be great information for the audience, and
Right.
I
So,
was elated to see that. Yeah.
well, we're still working on it. You gotta still gotta get the money people to line up because
Yeah, you got to crawl before you walk.
right.
Yeah.
But there's 3 avenues, 3 paths to getting into franchising that we've chosen to focus on and embrace. And so pathway 1 is for existing operators. That would be people who are already in the restaurant business, already in the hospitality business, already know about the schedules, the hours, they know about customer service. They just don't have the money, or maybe he didn't have the know-how or the opportunity to become an owner. So if you're already operating in a restaurant, a food service establishment, a hotel, whatever, you always wanted to be an owner, this is the time to raise your hand and step forward. So pathway 1 would be to get those operators and marry them up with the right brand. It might be the company they already work for, and help them get the funding and get them off on their first restaurant. Now the goal is, because if the operators already kind of know the business, they should be able to get to their 2nd and 3rd restaurant faster than
someone
right?
who is new to the
Right.
brand. Yes.
Now, pathway number 2, we got a lot of those folks out there too. Those are people. So I have one of the women that I spoke with. She did 25, 30 years with one of the big pharmaceutical companies. She took a package. She's a pretty high level executive, so she got paid, and now she wants to get into franchise. So she has money.
That's right.
And she has the funds, and she has enough business knowledge because she was on the business side, but she just doesn't know restaurants. So we might marry this individual with one of the operators, put those 2 together, and guess what? They could go from 1 to 3 to 5 in pretty short order. In other instances, it just be that one individual. We help bring them and get them educated on what it takes to be successful. So we have a partner who comes out of franchising. The American Franchise Academy, and all she does is take people who have one restaurant and train them so they can get to 2 to 3 to 5.
Wow.
So she helps you learn all, because the brand only teaches you so much. So here's our recipe for burgers. This is how you make the burgers. This is how you do this. After that, the legal structure, what they call joint employer, doesn't allow the brand, the company, to tell the franchisee too many things of what you have to do and can't do. So you got to keep it clean, but you pick your own cleaning company. Okay. You got to buy our standard food product, but you don't have to buy it from this company. It might be 3 companies that offer the product. You can buy it from whoever you want. And then the same is true with human resource things, training. How should you compensate? That's the stuff you got to learn on your own. So our partner will teach them that. So the people in pathway 1 and 2 can go to that training. Pathway 3
Yeah, that is huge.
Pathway 3 is somebody who already has a restaurant, or already got maybe one or two. We targeted between 1 and 5 units. Yeah, but probably there's going to be the sweet spot be 1 and 2, 1 and 3. So they want to get bigger and add. They've already proven to the brand that they know how to run it successful. They've already got financed by the bank. So the bank says, oh, okay, so you're going to get some additional training, and then you're going to look to buy a second or a third or a fifth unit. That's a lot easier to get funded. So the 3 ones, operator path, again, you got skills and not the money. Pathway 2, which is existing business people from other industries. You got the knowledge of business, you got some money, but you don't have the knowledge of food service. And pathway 3 is you're already in there and you want to grow. We feel there are probably other things, like one of the ones we're hearing from more and more, Jennifer, is people who have a successful concept and they say, hey, I want to turn this into a franchise. So there's a guy in Massachusetts got this hot dog concept, came out of a guy out of Boston called Boston Speed. He had a big honking hot dog, really good with these great concept to franchise. But they're at the point where they have a food truck right now, and they don't have all the knowledge to make the jump to becoming a franchise model. So those people, we think we'll be able to help them as well.
That's awesome. That's an all-inclusive kind of program. I feel like if you're interested in restaurant, or if you're interested in lodging, no matter where you're kind of standing, where you're entering the program, where you're, where you are in your journey, you have the program to support.
Well, yeah, and what we want to do is take the knowledge we get from the existing Black franchisees to say, hey, I made this mistake, that mistake. Don't you make the same mistake. So and so then we can provide a feedback loop to the corporation. So we can say, let's say, Jennifer, you're the big company. It's Callender Restaurants. And you're just telling them we're going to support Black franchisees like this, and this. But when you get down into the streets, what you said as the head of the company and what's happening in the street, 2 different things. I can come back to you and say, Jennifer, I know you committed to this, but this is not what's happening down there. Because the franchisee themselves, they don't want to, raise their hand and say, hey, they're not following the rules, because you know how that goes. Oh, you rat me out, right? So we think that there's a lot more that we can provide in terms of other forms of coaching. We can help people connect with each other. So you may be franchising two states over, the next state, you wouldn't even know they're there.
That's right.
You could be in your same state. You could be in the same elevator and you not know that she's got a franchise and you are franchising in almost the same business. So there's a network piece there. And then there's the coaching development element that we want to get from the experienced franchisee. So the other side of that is we can teach brands what they need to know about how to work with the Black community. Yeah. Okay. They'd be, well, we don't have a lot of Black people. We're afraid to go into the community. No, if you go into the Black church, we embrace everybody. Okay. Yeah. But you have to take them with you. So we'll take them with us to places like the annual conference of the Urban League and groups like that, and introduce them and find out, hey, wow, these people are just like everyone else. They want to be successful. Culture, we have a little different norms in our culture versus their culture, but we can get those are enhancements. They're not impediments. Yeah. So we think that we can help educate the brands on how they can better engage the Black community and better serve the Black franchisees. So we think there's a lot of benefit that can come from this. And because we're independent, we're a nonprofit, it's not just about us making money, it's about us making mission. And our mission is to make these brands, these companies, these franchisees successful, more than it is for us to just make a profit.
I love that. And a couple of things I want to reiterate that you spoke on. You said, and Toni would love this, so I'm going to speak, and I'm channeling my Toni. And you haven't met her, but I will introduce you to her because she's a networking queen. Great. And you said networking, and she would be all over that. And she's been trying to, in her own space, make franchise business owners understand the importance of networking to support their business. Yep. So she would love what you're doing.
Well,
and the coaching aspect.
Yeah, networks are important. I mean, I learned from George Fraser who's quite the accomplished Black networker. Give first and share always. And
Yes.
I embrace that. If I'm gonna talk to you and network just because I want to get something from you, that's not kind of the way we're taught. For those of us who are believers in the book, you serve and you share with people in the way that you're taught by your creator. And so to me, networking is hugely important. In fact, I'll tell you a really quick story. My college roommate, he's from Cape Cod, and we stayed in touch. And I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, the company, he thought he was going to get promoted to be the GM of this big hotel property. And they flew somebody in, they kicked him to the curb, they ended up laying him off. And he said, I haven't done anything in the last 10 years to build my network. And when I was out of a job, I had no place to go. And he said, I'll never do that again. So all y'all out there, you're not spending time investing in developing your network, okay? I got all sorts of I got special note cards. I write handwritten notes to people. I'll make phone calls. I write people's hot birthdays on a calendar.
That's right.
Parent, all those things, they add value to you. And then when you say, hey, look, I want to try to get into a business, well, all that investment that you made in people come back. If I need something, I need help. I say, look, I need some help. People come running and say, hey, Gerry, how can I help you? Because you put more deposits into the bank of goodwill. See, if you do good things, then when you need it, there's something there to go out. It's like if you never put any money in the bank and you want to go to the bank and take money out, well, the bank says, hey, you never put anything in, so you can't take anything out.
That's right.
Friendships, same with your professional relationships. Again, I learned this from someplace I read it. Every professional owes back to their profession to help make it better. And so when you do that, when it's your turn, so maybe I don't have a franchise, but you know who might get a franchise? My son downstairs. Okay.
That's right.
Or my granddaughters who are
and all those relationships you built.
I'll be able to pick up the phone and say, hey, John, this is what I'm doing. My niece, my nephew, blah, blah, blah. And that's how it goes. But again, franchising has been, and I encourage people, go online, look at Franchise Times, one of the great magazines out there that it'll showcase. You see Black women being so successful in franchising now. I met the sister. She's got a bakery on wheels, and she brings it up to corporate, and she's getting ready to franchise.
That's right.
They're in all types of. So again, it's our time.
It's our time. And shame on us if we don't take advantage of it. Yeah.
And we really, really should go out there and ask the tough questions. But understand, you can't go to them with no money in your pocket. One of the questions somebody asked me early in my career about ownership, he said, would you be willing to mortgage your house? And he said, if you ask that question, they go, oh, well, no, I'm not going to do that. I said, then you're not serious.
Yeah.
Because people who really want to start something, they have a dream, chase that thing.
Yeah. They're all in.
I will be all in right now. So with and you see this with other cultures. An Asian friend of mine, he graduated from college, big fancy school with an MBA, and he went to his parents. He said he wanted to run a restaurant. They mortgaged their house.
Yeah,
he's got 200 restaurants now. See, we don't always want to do that.
We don't want to do that.
We don't want to take that risk,
Yeah.
And you certainly don't want to partner with somebody else who looks like you. That's the other thing we have to do a better job at.
So I want to talk about that partnership. I love what you're doing at MFHA. And you and I have talked about what I'm doing with the J3 Collaborative.
Yeah.
So you're in the restaurant and lodging space, and you're making that safe space for people to come in and stand up business ownership.
Yep.
And we at J3, we're not specifying restaurant and lodging. We're kind of holistically looking at franchising. But we know now that MFHA can be an awesome partner for J3 and get those clients. And that's just what we, when you're talking about partnership and working with people that look like you and I'm all about collaborations and working with people.
Exactly. I believe.
So it's something there, I feel like.
I really believe. Just because African Americans and other Blacks historically, but particularly African Americans, haven't worked together well, that's the vestiges of slavery and Jim Crow and the Willie Lynch story, how they, they put the light skin against the dark skin and the big lips against the thin lips and the wide hips against the thin hips. And to teach you that the white man's ice is colder. Okay.
Yeah.
I ain't mad at them, but guess what? I want to make sure that some of the restaurants in our communities are owned by people like us. So when I got a family member who needs a job, we can give them a job. Okay, right. Give that individual that you're giving back to the community, so that dollars stay in our community. So I really believe this generation we can break that mold. We can find more ways where we can partner. I think you're seeing athletes and entertainers doing things that
taking advantage of
power and juice than ever before, and they're working together. Look at Shaquille's doing, and making things happen in our community and making sure that he's bringing people of color along with him. That's what we have to do. So anything we can do to work with you, Jennifer, and your group, we will absolutely do it.
Well, I am elated to hear that. I am so happy that you made time for the show. And so so usually you don't know this, and I don't know if you watched any of the other shows, but usually we take the guests down and Toni and I will end the show together. But I'm going to ask that you in the show with me today, since Toni's not here.
All right, I'm ready.
So a couple of things I do want to bring forward before we let you go is that we do have some upcoming events that we want to bring forward to our audience. You mentioned George Fraser, Dr. George Fraser. We know that we have the Power Networking Conference that you and I will be attending.
Absolutely.
And we will be networking and facilitating around franchising. So we want you all to attend. And if you're interested in attending, we do have discount tickets to make available to you for attending. The Power Networking Conference, it's going to be in Houston, and the dates are, do you remember the dates, Gerry? It's August.
You know what? I probably have them right on my calendar there.
Yeah, it's August. I think it's mid-August. We're going to just go with that. It's mid-August. So reach out to us. It's going to be a powerful event. If you know anything about Dr. George Fraser.
Oh, he's fabulous. You know what? An interesting story. I read his book.
Yeah.
I picked up the phone and called him, and he answered the phone.
Yeah, he answers the phone, right?
We talked for an hour.
Yeah.
It was incredible. I was like, who picks up the phone?
Who still does that?
Him.
He makes time. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And then I have invited you to participate on a panel of an HBCU Biz Connect event, which is happening May 19th.
Yeah.
This event is for HBCU graduates who are interested in business ownership, HBCU graduates who own businesses that want to take your business to the next level. We're going to be talking about franchising, and we're going to be talking about contracting. Two very important pieces.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I want you all to just sign up for that. Reach out to me, my LinkedIn. Reach out to me or Gerry for the Power Networking Conference. And we look forward to having you participate. And Gerry, I will be reaching out to you for something specifically that I'm doing that you share just on this very call that I think you'll be instrumental. You don't know it, but I'm reaching out to you.
Listen, again, I believe in, and we got to help each other. My mantra of, what I learned from George was to give first, share always when it comes to your network. And listen, servant leadership means, you put other people before yourself.
That's right.
When you do that, you always get paid. It always comes back to you. It's just investing in other people. And in our community, we have to do a better job in caring for each other. When we make a mistake, offer grace. All right.
Offer grace.
Offer grace. And by the way, there's a very good show in DC called Grace, and it's about a Black restaurant family who the grandmother passes away, and they're trying to hold on to the restaurant, and it's beautiful. And the National Restaurant Association Education Foundation backed it, and there's a bunch of Jessica Harris is involved in that, Tiffany Derry, and a bunch of really, really great people. So again, it's a nice way for me to end my little segment is let's give each other grace, but let's make some money at the same time.
Let's make some money. I love that. And so in the comment, we have Jeff Shirley.
Says, Jeff Shirley.
Jennifer, Gerry, great to see you both. Small world.
Jeff is so, hey, Jeff, how you been, man? We haven't talked
And
in a while.
Toni Harris Taylor said, hey, Jennifer and Gerry, miss you guys, miss you both. So hi, everyone. It's been a great time sharing this moment with you, Gerry. Thank you so much for the time. And I look forward to supporting you in success. And we'll see each other out there. So thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Have a great weekend, everyone. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye now.